Oh, Packer fans are going crazy. So last week I said, Jordan Love, this is preseason, so, we all temper some of our expectations. You don't know that much, but last week I said, Jordan Love's been in this league now 4 years. He missed a wide-open tight end underneath route badly. That's what coaches remember. That's like a real NFL throw. And so this week he was pretty good against the first-team New England defense, but a reminder, he has had 18 dropbacks in the NFL and no pressures. He has the best protection so far in the preseason because the Packers do O-line play, as I've been banging on for 6 years, really, really well. So I said last week, Jordan Love's got two tremendously beneficial assets, a smart young offensive coach and a great O-line. So he shouldn't flail. He should be fine. Looks a little bit like a game manager to me, but Mitch Trubisky made the playoffs in this same division. Yes, he did, when he had an offensive coach and decent protection. The year he made the playoffs, PFF, we checked this morning, had the Bears O-line at 11th by the end of the year. So no young quarterback is going to have more time to throw, arguably, than Jordan Love, and no young quarterback will have an offensive coach with a winning record of 71%, except Jordan Love. So last year, Aaron Rodgers, who wouldn't come to camp, had a choppy beginning and then got hot around Thanksgiving. My prediction has been months ago, Jordan will start pretty well because nobody has film on him. Offenses can be ahead of defenses in September. Nobody has film on him. Offensive coaches, element of surprise. McVay, Shanahan, Andy Reid, Sean Payton, LaFleur. Defenses are guessing a lot on what you're doing with a young quarterback. But then I think if you go look at Green Bay's schedule, I think there's absolutely a moment, and it starts with Pittsburgh November 12th. The rest of the league will then have 8 games of film on Jordan Love. Then you may have an injury or two on the offense. You go to Pittsburgh. Then you have to face both Detroit and Minnesota, not at home, on the road. Then the weather in Green Bay gets worse. I think last year's Aaron season, flip it. I think Jordan will be very competent early. They face some really average teams. New Orleans, Atlanta, Chicago, Vegas, Rams. There's a lot of chances to succeed early. Mark the Pittsburgh game down, because then you look at the defenses they face at Pittsburgh, Chargers, Giants, Tampa's front, Carolina, Kansas City, top 5 in the league in sacks. So I think with Jordan Love, he should not flail. I think he's more game manager, but he made a nice throw up the right sideline. He's an easy thrower. He's got a nice arm, a lot of stuff in the toolbox. He's mobile. He's kind of an easy thrower. He's not a huge guy, but he's got decent size. Most of the stuff has been easy underneath throws. It's a very young offense, so you got to be patient. This is a very nice throw, very easy thrower, nice play. He should not flail. He may not win 12 games. He's big enough. He's athletic. He's an easy thrower. He's got an offensive coach. 18 dropbacks in the preseason. He hasn't faced a single pressure. So that's a huge. Trubisky made the playoffs in that division with the same advantage. Offensive coach, his best O-line. So take a deep breath. It's a winnable division. I don't see him winning. So they open up at Chicago, which now looks like a fantastic. Again, I think the pressure's more on Justin Fields in the opener because he's 5-20. This is now his team, fully his team for the second straight year. I don't think there's a ton of pressure on Jordan Love because we haven't seen him play. He's replacing a legend, but I would go to the Pittsburgh game. Then people are going to have 8 games of film on him. Then the weather gets cold at home. Then he has to go to Minnesota and to Detroit. He doesn't get him at home like the first half. Then the season gets tougher. That's where I think we'll have a feeling somewhere about week 15, 16. We'll kind of know what we have here. He's looked very good, but it's not the real world to have 18 dropbacks and no pressures. As we've said before, Baker Mayfield on 2nd and 4 with no pressure looked like a number 1 pick. On 3rd and 11, and everybody knows you're throwing with a lot of pressure, he looks like a bust. So that's the difference. We'll watch. I can't wait. Chicago's a great opening test. I would have said a year ago, Chicago Green Bay opener. I don't care. I can't wait for it. Like, to me, it feels like even more than Dallas Giants, I got to see the Justin Fields thing, and I got to see the Jordan Love thing. I'm fired up for that game. So Jimmy Garoppolo looked pretty sharp. First start since way back when he got hurt. And I have this weird feeling. So I understand the way it works in pro sports. If you don't win, you're a loser, you get fired. But even Belichick and Greg Popovich last couple of years have struggled to win. You need personnel. So the Raiders are a really interesting team. We don't love the ownership, but they have a new front office, a new coach from New England, where they had a lot of success. Here's the other things we've noticed in the preseason. They have the best backup quarterback in the league potentially in Aidan O'Connell. I know I'm not supposed to go hypey here. That kid is a backup, looks tremendous. He's out of Purdue. I think he was a 3-year starter. He's got a big arm, nice player. 2-year starter, nice player, throws a great ball. Not going to run around a lot. That's not what he does. Confident, nice arm, accurate. I think he's looked great. So that's what we know. We also know they've blown out the Rams in San Francisco, so the energy has been great. They're playing with a ton of focus and a ton of intensity in the preseason. So here's the question, what we're all asking about the Raiders. Can Josh McDaniels coach? Well, here's the issue. There's 3 boxes he checks, and they're important boxes. Belichick respected him enough to give him the offense for over a decade. That's a big box to check. Belichick doesn't just give the offense for long, sustained periods of time to a guy that he doesn't think is smart. So Belichick, for 10-plus years, said, you run the offense. We also know Brady loved him, absolutely loved him. Well, Brady had problems with coaches down in Tampa. He didn't have any problems with Josh McDaniels. We also know, and this matters, he's verbal. He obviously interviews well. The Colts have offered him a job. The Raiders offered him a job. Apparently, he goes into a room and he can sell himself. So, now he got frustrated with Derek Carr, but I was told 2 weeks ago by somebody in that organization, a lot of people were getting frustrated with Derek Carr. He wasn't for everybody. So Josh McDaniels is not a rigid, old defensive coach. He's not one of these guys that struggles to communicate. There's a lot to like. Belichick absolutely trusted him. Brady loved him. He's verbal. He interviews well. We just don't know about this organization. There's 2 coaches in this league right now that I think are actually very good, but they're not winning. I think Arthur Smith in Atlanta, I think is a pretty good coach. Well, he's not winning. And then Josh McDaniels in Vegas, I think is a pretty good coach, and he's not winning. But it should be noted, the Raiders' defense, since he's been there, has been awful. He didn't draft it, and he doesn't coach that side. At some point, you can't blame the offensive coach because the defense can't make stops. Now, Brandon Staley with the Chargers, as the Chargers' defense struggled, blame Brandon Staley because he's in those meeting rooms. He's a defensive coach. But I watch Atlanta and I watch the Raiders, and the Raiders were like in 4 overtime games last year. They were competitive in a lot of games. And the other thing is, you have to be careful about who's a winner and who's not. Bill Parcells, Big Tuna, one of the smartest guys that's ever coached in this league, has won 57% of his games. He's a legend. 57%. Pete Carroll's won 59%. He's a legend. Kyle Shanahan, considered a genius offensively, has won 53% of his games. So it's just easy to say win more games. Andy Reid got fired by Philadelphia and used to get bagged, just dragged all over the place because he wasn't good with clock management. Now he's considered the smartest coach in the league. Why? Because he wins more. So when Josh McDaniels got the job in Denver, he was only 33 years old. My guess is he was a kid. He wasn't ready. He was too cocky. Okay. He's not the first young person to get a job, and he's not quite ready. The franchise has not been that capitalized, right? It had to move. The defense is a mess. They fired Gruden. They fired the GM. It's even a 5-star chef needs some produce to work with here. So they've looked good in the preseason. Garoppolo, when he's upright, is good. They have excellent offensive weapons. They appear to, in the 4th round, have gotten a kid out of Purdue, 2-year starter, Aidan O'Connell. Dude can play. Like, your backup now, he's free, and he can play. So and it's easy to say it's a tough division. Is it? Do we trust the Chargers? Do we know what Denver is? Keep your eye. The Raiders are fascinating to me. If you have a great edge rusher, a competent quarterback who's been to a Super Bowl, star back, star weapons, that's a lot of the boxes to check. Offensive coach. There's a lot of things they have which other teams don't have. And in 2023, they have a good left tackle, a good edge rusher, star weapons, star back, competent quarterback, offensive coach. That's a lot of boxes that win 10, 12 games in this league.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.